Oh, tonight. It's a good night.
Why is it a good night, Johnny?
Well, because it's the Talisker. It's a Talisker. I should just start with that. It's an A Talisker, and they don't make bad scotch.
They really do not.
No.
One of the best things, every time you open a bottle, what is it, 58.6?
Yeah.
Or 50,
Always
no,
high,
50,
yeah.
no, 40, pardon me, 48.6 or 46 point, no, 45.
45.7? 45.6.
40, you can't read in this light.
All right, you're going to have to pull back in there when you actually find out what it is.
Yeah.
45.8%
alcohol by volume. So almost every single one of their expressions is up around 46%. So
Yeah,
that's
pretty
always
much
nice.
giving you an extra 3 every time. They're not skimping.
They're not
it shows
skimping.
They're not being cheap about it. We're going to give you the full blown. Well, I'm sure they even take it down a little bit, but they are giving you a solid whiskey.
Yeah.
You can't complain about it for
No.
the extra dollars.
The flavor really comes through with the alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
If you keep pushing it down to 43 and 40, you lose so much.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it should be up to the individual drinker to decide if they need to, reduce it down in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let us decide.
totally. Well, and so this evening, as usual, this is our Dramcast,
Yeah.
which follows our YouTube channel where we do a review. And now we get a chance to get together, and now you have a chance to try the Talisker Dark Storm and nose it and sort of let everybody know what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
So here we go, eh? We are nosing this beautiful whiskey.
It tastes like it smells. I'm getting a lot of sea
Brine.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I
That's
did
the
too.
first noticeable thing, and it smells like Talisker.
Yeah, I know. I expected a charred wood, sort of some of the more classic, maybe Isla, Ardbeggy kind of. Just by calling it the Dark Storm, you would think it would be. And on the bottle and on the box it says charred cask. So I was expecting some of that, but you don't get that on the nose. You get more of the seaweed salt and sort of I had a bit of a damp wood that sort of sat with me. So a nose that didn't necessarily blow me away, but
But it's
intriguing.
It's intriguing.
Yeah, very intriguing with
There's
the
a
salt, the
sweet
seaweed.
couple sweet notes up there too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely sea and brine and all the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's inviting.
Yeah,
I want to know what this tastes like.
I keep thinking of it like a wet log that's sort of jammed up in between the rocks on the craggy shore of one of the coves near the distillery. That it's like, a piece of wood that's been pounded through the Atlantic Ocean and kind of pushed up and just trapped there and kind of like being torn apart by the nature around it, and like I get a bit of that wood, and that's where that kind of stays with me.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Well, you interested in a taste?
Oh yeah. Okay, let's do it. Here we go.
Let's give it a go.
Well, it's Talisker.
Totally explodes on you a bit, eh?
Definitely tastes a lot Talisker-esque. It tastes really good to me.
Really good. Peppery, warm,
Hmm.
woody, a bit of smoke.
Better than I thought.
Definitely fills the mouth, eh?
Yeah.
Definitely has that like a really nice viscosity in the mouth. I love that about that oily nature that Talisker seems to be able to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
A definite mouthfeel winner.
Oh wow. It's really oily. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had tasted this. It was a while ago though. I got it at well, whatever. I brought it back from duty free. I don't know where it was, but I saw it and we had already tried the Storm and I thought, "Oh, the Dark Storm.
Let's go.
This has got to be really
one
good."
more.
Because the Storm is good.
So one more notch into that
Yeah.
wild world of power.
And I thought too, even more power and everything. So I don't know, because when I did try the Storm, I didn't think I loved the Storm. When I tried the Dark Storm for the first time, I was disappointed because I thought it's not more. It's not. I was expecting more.
Yeah.
And I didn't get more, and it was a bit of a letdown.
Right.
But now that I'm tasting it, and I don't really have anything to. I'm not comparing it to anything.
Mm-hmm. You're just taking it.
Yeah, first Scotch I've had. It's very enjoyable. It's very warm. It does have that pepperiness. It's staying with me, especially it's staying with me in the mouth.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like sort of a peppery sting in the gums or
Totally.
around the back. That's nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful whiskey.
But what I'm thinking of now is like I'm only thinking of comparison Scotch, only because I want to jump in there right away because, oh my goodness, like I gotta know what the Storm tastes like.
Yeah.
I have to. I know that the Talisker 10 will be that much more complex and better, but the Storm, let's see, maybe it is darker. I'm not as disappointed.
My
as
memory of the Storm is a smokier whiskey, a whiskey that, whereas the Talisker 10 didn't do the Isla smoky thing, the Storm had some of that. So that's only from memory and from trying to remember the last time we reviewed it. I think in episode 10 when we did the Talisker Storm, and those were my impressions after that. Was that the Storm was a whiskey that was closer in characteristic to an Isla, whereas the Talisker 10 has a very specific, oily, peppery, explosive taste that did that without being smoky. And that's why I enjoyed the Storm so much, is that it had some of that smoke and did some of that. But
Really?
now that I'm drinking the Dark Storm, I'm thinking this is more like Talisker 10, but without the complexity of the Talisker 10. It seems to me that this whiskey doesn't do as much, or it does some of the things that the Talisker 10 does, but not to the same extent that the Talisker 10 does. So
That's interesting that you would give it more of a nod for the smoke.
this one,
Yeah.
no, the Storm, not the Dark Storm.
Oh, sorry, the Storm.
Yeah,
Yes,
the Storm, not the Dark Storm.
You think that the Storm is more smoky than this one,
Smokier than this one, I do believe.
and the 10.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, in terms
well, now I
of
want to try that too.
what, the 10 or the
Yeah, I
the
want to
Storm?
try them all. Just
Yeah.
have a Talisker show.
I know.
down.
Unfortunately, we can't crack the 10
Oh,
because
the 10. Okay, the 10
we're
hasn't
waiting.
been touched,
That's
right.
going to be one that we have to.
Still, the
uncork
Storm
for
is
a
still
show.
good.
Yeah, I think it has
but
to
it
be
has
the
to be
Storm.
the Storm. Yeah.
Has to be the Storm.
Has to
I
be.
mean, the only other stuff you could maybe do, you could maybe go Lachig, you could maybe go Kalila, you could maybe go Select or Lafroig 10. Those are all ones that would compare with this whiskey, but I don't think there's any reason to go there when you have a whiskey called Talisker Storm and you have another whiskey called Talisker Dark Storm.
Yeah.
It sets up so well that you pretty much are,
It really. It's
the structure is presenting itself. It's
It's the
like,
only
you got to
one.
do this. You got to do this.
Especially after thinking, them calling it the Dark Storm and the other one is just a Storm. You've got to think the other one's supposed to be more powerful. That's just.
The Dark Storm.
Yeah.
Should be more
Should
intense,
be-
more powerful, more.
It should almost be too hard to take.
A little.
Like almost like, oh, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm drinking.
Shouldn't be out
Halls.
there tonight.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be out there tonight. I can
No,
handle a
it's a
storm
bad
on
idea.
Talisker. I cannot handle a dark storm.
No.
A dark storm, I just need to light a fire, get inside, and carry on, Well, does that mean it's time then? Seems so soon.
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about a few things there.
Sure.
So we know that this originally was, and I think you touched on it a little bit, but it was originally made for a travel version.
I do believe, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because we can't find it in the BC liquor store.
Well, we can now. That's what I was going to say. Like, I think it grew.
It creeped in?
People started liking it, and they just started putting it out as a regular, because I have seen it.
Right.
And so if it's not a travel, if you even see it once, is
But
it?
we couldn't find it on the app.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I mean,
Maybe
it's been
Maybe it's
removed
back in the
or-
travel. But
yeah.
they brought it out. I mean, they must have done that for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
they were testing the waters.
Yeah, it's maybe they were just giving it a go. Yeah, that's possible.
And the other thing I heard, that this was matured in heavily charred oak casks.
Right.
And I thought that sounded kind of cool to me. That's
Well,
like,
and I was thinking that might have something to do with why this is such a dark whiskey.
I hope so.
yeah, and
I hope it's
I'm
not coloring.
thinking their whole approach is that when they're talking about the dark storm, they're really referring to the way the whiskey looks in a glass. Like, it's really quite dark, and maybe the charring and burning of the innards of those oak, and they're probably bourbon oak, but I really don't know. But whichever, that provides some of the, physical characteristic. But you really don't taste the charring. You don't really taste a burning, smoking thing when you drink this. You taste more of the oily, peppery, just a bit of wood, and
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you would almost like, that's the part that I have a little trouble with, where it's like, I kind of, I don't know. Maybe someone has to sit down and explain it to us, but all we can do is wonder.
Well, maybe the char is contributing to the smoke, because there is
but again, there's not
overriding smoke.
There
taste.
is, a bit, but
right
it's
in
not,
the middle though. It's quite nice. I have it now. I guess I'm basing it on it. Maybe it's a little more of that peppery stuff too, but whatever. I'm tasting.
Yeah, I know there is a
smoke going on there. It's
is
a nice smoke, but it's not a char.
You're right. There is a bit of a smoke in there.
But it's supposed to be like a lot smokier and a lot spicier and all that.
Then what though?
Well, then the other ones.
That's what it's designed to do.
It's more than the Storm at least.
Right. And I didn't do a lot of reading on the box, but usually they give a bit of a description, and
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah, it's a good point.
Oh, that's what it said. I was just reading some notes, and I don't remember stuff anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But the notes that I found, reading off my list here, the smell, it was on the nose. It said it smelled like bacon.
Really?
Are you getting that at all? It was something I was going to try to look for.
Interesting.
It maybe that salty brine. I mean, that's what bacon is kind of.
It's a salty meat on the fry pan.
I don't know though. I don't think I'm getting bacon.
Well, oddly enough, I can almost get like a fatty, but that oily fat might be what it is.
Definitely oily.
Yeah, like that thick sort of, like, maybe that brings it out. I'm not sure, but yeah, no, I wouldn't say I like it. I can really get at it, but if you say bacon, and I really,
I know. I just wanted to see. It sounded good.
What I get is like the fat part of the bacon is kind of what I pick up a little bit. If there's anything, it's that like big white piece that sits on the edge of the bacon that, as soon as it hits the pan, it starts to like.
Well, that's not.
Yeah,
I eat that.
Well, I do too, but the it's more that kind of like a thick, oily saltiness that kind of comes at me a little bit,
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. Bacon.
I didn't get that though, but it's fun. It's fun to kind of look for those things.
Yeah, well, and I always appreciate people that can see that in it. It's like it's not like you're just making it up. Like maybe people do make up some of the notes a little bit, but I think at the end you've got to settle on something, and you will be judged by it if you put it out there. People are going to be like, okay.
Who's going to call you on it though? Who's really going to say, "Oh, hey, wait, it doesn't really smell like bacon"?
It always comes down to the subjective nature of the individual. So at the end, it's going to be what you think it is, and if you happen to connect with a few other people that have a similar palate and kind of feel the same way, all the more power to those notes.
Yeah.
But generally, I think it's okay just to freestyle away, as long as you're being honest with yourself. Like, as long as you're really saying like what you're tasting, and how it feels in that moment. Mm-hmm. And that's a difficult process. Like, it's a very difficult thing to communicate to other people.
Talisker, some people thought it had the best finish of all the Taliskers.
Really?
The best finish. That's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement, because I like the smoky finish of the Storm, and to me the 10 has a deeper peppery, like the lava of the Cullen thing, like
the
where
Storm?
it's like
just the Storm?
the 10.
The 10. Sorry, yeah.
The 10 has the smoke, or excuse me, the Storm has the smoky finish, from what I can recall, and the 10 has this, like, it's like lava pouring down your throat almost. That, like, it's a little bit intense and strong, and it's got the viscosity and the power, but it's still really nice to drink. It's got a very special finish to it.
Yeah, I don't know about the best though, but it's going to be fun to try to test that out with the Storm, just the regular Storm, see how it goes.
Because I enjoyed the finish. The very first time I tried that tonight, I thought it was a bit strong, and then the next time I tried it, I really enjoed the finish. It really finished nicely. Yeah, the very first time.
That's interesting. You thought it was strong, because it's not. They're all the same.
But the first sip of the night is so difficult, because you're coming off tonight. We were drinking a bit of rye on the rocks, and it's like I had spaghetti and meatballs with Parmesan.
Some spicy.
Yeah, you have all this other stuff that's floating around your mouth, and you've got to kind of work all that out before you can kind of get to what you're drinking. That's why I think 2 or 3 sips in, and even like 2 or 3 tastings in after it oxidizes, is really where you get to understand what a whiskey can do. It's so difficult on the first sip right out of the bottle. It's very, very difficult to really understand what it is that's happening. It takes a bit of time. You've really got to sit and nose it and sip it and let it kind of get into your mouth and fill in all those little places. And
it's really good to do that. Right now I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of like watching a movie done by one of your favorite directors, where they're like, there's a lot kind of going on there, and you can learn to appreciate it. It's like every movie that the director Talisker makes is a good one to try. There's always something kind of going on there.
There's a style there. There's a quality. There's a feel to it that is unique to Talisker. Yeah, and I think
they do it better than even a Lefroy does it in a lot of ways, right? Because sometimes some of the Lefroys, even though there's the essence of it, this one still has a really strong essence.
You're talking
of the Talisker.
About when Lefroy does a 4 oak, or Lefroy does this or that. Yeah. Interesting, because this is an NAS expression from Talisker that still possesses a level of quality that's very consistent.
Tough though that it's priced so close. That I still baffles me. Like, why would they do that? Like, because I guess maybe some people really prefer it, but I don't know. We're gonna find out. Maybe I prefer this more than the Storm.
Yeah. You won't know until you put the Storm into a glass and taste it right next to it, and you can only assume that you'd like the Talisker 10 more. Again, you'd have to actually.
I think so.
Well, it's hard not to think that it's.
Well,
it's pretty much universally accepted as a better whiskey, and we, from our own personal tastings, believe it is too.
Yeah.
So until you knock that off, you just got to accept that it's better.
I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it always seems to open up into so much big flavor. There's if this has anything going on, my experience has been the 10 has 3 or 4 times that.
Yeah.
And bigger.
Right.
It tastes stronger all around. Although this is nice, like I'm still getting that very peppery kind of tingling all through my mouth, and I like that.
I do too.
But there is a if I'm going to be really picky now, I still like it, but it's sort of in the mid-range there that it sort of drops off for me. It's almost sort of a sweeter taste that is kind of calming the Storm down.
Right.
They're just setting themselves up for a mass comparison, though, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
Storm and the Dark Storm.
Right. Why wouldn't you go?
At least when Bowmore put out like Dawn and Dusk, that there was like, oh, okay, one's for the morning, one's for the evening. This is big, and this is even bigger. Right? You're really you're setting yourself up for failure almost.
Well, yeah.
Unless you just went totally
if you want
raw.
to get really picky, it'd be like, well, that's like a daytime storm versus like a storm that rages through the night when you're laying in bed,
Well, it's still worse, isn't it?
I know. Well,
when you can't see?
When you say dark storm and you add that adjective, and it's like one more level, one more.
Yeah,
you're right. There's no getting around that.
It should be. They should have made this one.
I think
like a 57. They should have put it out as a cheaper than their 57, but more expensive. Like, it should have been even more expensive than the 10, and just make it really. Wow, if they were going to go with the real raw route,
Yeah, but
like, we're going to make this
I think people
bottle.
would just. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I think for this one, all you need is a different description. So.
Well, they got that.
Yeah, but don't marry it to the hip of the other expression that just preceded it. That to me is just. It seems like we're one chapter deeper, but. I don't know. I guess maybe when we actually taste and compare, we're going to have a little, maybe more perspective on that.
I should save a little so I can do that.
Well, you can.
It's
whatever. A 1 liter thing. You can pour more. That's one good thing about duty free. Gotta love the volume.
That one went down really quick. Oh, you still have?
I'm good.
I'll just put a little in for them.
Put a little splash, and we can always hit it again.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Next segment.
Comparison Scotch.
I think the description that you had stated, whereas one is a storm in the middle of the day, the other one is definitely at night. I think they have done a really good job at representing the feel for the name, because this one does look more fierce.
Totally.
This one still looks dangerous.
It looks awesome.
it looks awesome. Like you are sort of maybe I don't know, just in the afternoon, and you're like, oh no, there's trouble coming, and it's that gray cloud, and it makes everything gray and dark blues, and then you get the foam crashing in, yeah. And then the dark storm is dark, like it's hard to see what's going on there. There's the moon breaking through the clouds,
busting
that looks
through,
great.
and then catching the top of the waves as they hammer on the rocks. That's awesome.
That is a really good image. Oh,
no.
and this here, the sweeping waves coming in on the side.
Oh, it's unreal.
See the whole thing there?
Totally.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
But so is this.
Well, they are
right in that corner.
Pretty much in terms of everything I've seen in the whiskey world, their presentation, I just love the most. Like Talisker does it so well.
Yeah, there's no mistaking it's a Scotch, and it's serious.
Serious.
Yeah.
And it really, really connects well with their island geography.
Beauty.
They're doing their own thing up there on Skye.
Yeah.
And they're
super proud of their island. They got the little island picture on both boxes. And they should be.
Totally. And they love that, like, where they embrace the fact that there's big storms there, and it's like part of their lifestyle is enduring the weather and the environment.
Okay, so what are you smelling there? Should we do a both? Like right side by side? Let's do a side by side. Now this one should be in its prime. We didn't do this too long ago.
No, it's still, I think,
I'm not
still
really getting
firing.
a whole bunch off the nose there, are you?
Off the storm?
Yeah, off the storm.
It just seems like it has a higher, sharper note than the sort of richer, fuller nose that the dark storm has.
Yeah, the dark storm is burning my nose a little more in a pleasant way.
Yeah, the dark storm for me right now is just a little bit more going on.
So, and that's a good thing then, in a way. That's what it should be, right? The dark storm should be bigger in every aspect.
It should be bigger. I just don't... There's this one stronger note that the storm has that the dark storm doesn't.
Oh, yeah?
It's higher and stronger. It might be a little, a little closer to like that medicinal seaweed oil. Seems to come out in this one in a sort of
seaweed oil.
Strong.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I smell more.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's some. Yeah, the other one's sweeter now.
What, the dark or the
dark storm? Maybe
the dark storm.
Yeah, maybe the storm is a little more peaty or earthy. Yeah, there's some. That was that mid-frame taste that I was talking about earlier. It's almost like a bit of a sherry thing going on in there. Almost.
With the storm?
With the dark storm.
With the dark storm. Right, like a little bit of a richer mahogany kind of thing going on.
Yeah. Smelling it, maybe I'm changing my mind. That's horrible. I'm just going back and forth.
Well, that's okay,
Maybe
because the more you smell this, like the storm now has more oil and pepper, I think.
Yeah. Let's give it a shot.
Okay, here we go.
I'm interested. Okay. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, that was just a first tiny little sip I had, but way better. All of a sudden, it tastes more like Talisker, even more so. Like
Well,
there's a storm in the back there. I'm tasting the storm, and that's the woody bits, the smoky bits, that charcoal flavor.
Yeah.
It's, wow.
Well, I
It's
find
so
there's
much
a
better.
more consistent intensity through the tasting, that just on the very first taste.
Yeah.
I
And
find
more
it's
exciting.
It's
more,
like a little faster starter and a little maybe stronger.
yeah, more punchy.
It might not have the finish. It's true. Well, let's have another little go.
It's more peppery, even more than the other one,
Yeah.
in a beautiful way.
Makes you pucker up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The finish isn't bad either,
No, the finish is quite nice.
but it might disappear. Now, I just swallowed it, like 5-10 seconds ago now, and
Yeah.
maybe the finish, no, it's still there.
It's still there, but it doesn't. I don't know if it's as full as the other one. The other one, the
Okay.
dark storm seems to fill in some of the edges that the storm doesn't have, but the storm seems to be ripping in places that the other one can't quite get to that intensity level.
All right, maybe the dark storm is just simply that it's at night. It's just a storm at night.
No, but it's
a
different,
dark
though. It's
storm.
definitely a
you
different
can't
storm.
see it, so
I
you don't know
think
how bad
it's
it is.
as strong a storm as this storm. This Talisker storm is stronger than the dark storm, I think.
I think so too. So it's just scarier because it's at nighttime. That's going to be my... You know what? Go back and taste the dark. And wow, comparing, it's a good comparison.
It's a really good comparison,
It's,
yeah.
It's not fair.
They both taste great. I do think they complement each other too. I think they
A little
fill in
bit, yeah,
some
they
spots
do
that
kind of.
Each kind of lacks. The other one kind of picks up a little slack for.
But I would prefer the
Did you
Storm.
just try the Dark Storm?
Yeah, I just
You
tried
did?
it. Sorry, I went ahead there. But I don't know. It's better, in my opinion. It's a pretty clear, better Scotch. If you like Talisker, it's the one to go to. There's no need to buy the Dark Storm. The Storm packs it all, everything that you need because it's closer to.
I don't know. The
10.
Dark Storm might have a bit of finish going here.
You think?
I think so. I think that's maybe the one place. I think it has a bit of a richer nose and a little bit of a better finish. Not better, but like a little longer.
Okay, maybe it's I'm tasting them both now. Maybe it's not a complete winner. It's not, but at the same time, I think the Storm is a better drink for
The
complexity
Storm is-
and
yeah.
for more Talisker-esque flavor.
And the from the time it starts on the palate to the time it finishes on the palate, it's providing exactly what the Dark Storm does not provide.
Right.
So the Dark Storm kind of in the middle kind of disappears a little bit and then finishes really nicely. Whereas the Talisker Storm, it hints at the oil and the pepper coming, and then it hits you and it arrives and it really happens. And then so while you're drinking it, it provides so much that I think it's a notch above the Dark Storm. I think it has, it's a better ride. Definitely a better ride.
Yeah, all around, I'd agree with that. Very nice, though.
Very nice.
Yeah, like again, you're kind of splitting hairs in some ways, because they're both good, and I wouldn't turn away a Dark Storm. That's for sure.
No, but I think if you were pressed,
Yeah,
you would prefer to have
if somebody said I only have these two.
Yeah, and you only get one drink. You would take the Storm.
The biggest thing for me was taking the Storm. It tasted more like Talisker 10 to me.
Right.
So it kind of confirms what I thought when I had it, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago.
Right.
Where I felt that exact same feeling. I felt like it wasn't as good as the Storm. It should be better because of the marketing, because of the big name. You're expecting something more, and it's not. It doesn't even hold up to the Storm. And then when you have the Storm versus the 10, so we don't really need to go there. We know the 10's better.
Right.
We know that,
yeah.
right? There's
Pretty
no
much.
arguing that point.
No, pretty
so
much.
It's third in line, and it's if that. Actually, really, because there's some other good Taliskers
The
out there. I haven't
57
necessarily had
Distillers
them. I know,
Edition.
yes, the 57
Yeah,
is
lots
better
is
than the
happening.
Dark Storm.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. So, I don't know.
But now we got to come back around a little bit, and you got to think: is the Dark Storm a 4? Because I think we gave the Storm a 4, saying like basically it's a whiskey that you always want to have on your shelf because it it's special enough, it does something enough,
and it's another Talisker.
and it's not too expensive. Like it's not cheap.
Yeah,
but
the Talisker, the flavor that Talisker has made their own, you're not going to get that anywhere else. So if you're going to have a Talisker on the bar and you don't have the extra $20, that's the one to get.
yeah.
Yeah, if you want to have it representative. Yeah. So I think they're more or less the same cost. So I would think even in their marketing ploy, if they don't charge more for the Dark Storm, they've made a horrible mistake.
Or they deliberately charge less.
Well, would that make sense though? Because again, the name implies
I think
that it's all around better.
messed
There's
that
more
up.
tension.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's
I
the
agree.
point.
I agree with that. That I think they've definitely they blew it by calling it the Dark Storm.
Yeah.
I think they would have been better served by calling it the whatever. Just not
Even if they
linking
had went
it.
with Squall or
Get away from the Storm altogether and go with
I like the different Storm names though. Like if you could come up with, because that's what they're all about. Like even the 10, if we turn around, I know we can't open it. There's a big wave crashing into the rocks there.
No,
Like, it's
true.
still a Storm.
True, but they do call, like, for example, they have one called the Talisker Sky. We haven't tried that. And that's supposed to be like a bit of a lighter NAS type whiskey too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Can we get that one?
I think so.
I'd love to try that.
I would too.
Oh.
Yeah.
See how that fits into the picture.
See exactly. See which one you would compare that to.
Well, anyway, Gordy, do you want to? What did you prepare for quote of the night?
Oh, you want the quote of the night tonight, Johnny? Do you?
Let's do it.
Quote of the night.
Scotland and its whiskies. Michael Jackson. Always good. It was at one stage the home of the McCaskill family, who farmed the estate and in 1830 built Talisker Distillery across Hawk Hill at Carboost on a natural harbor near the head of Loch Harport. An early admirer of the whiskey was Robert Louis Stevenson, who in 1880 said that the king of drinks was one of these three: Talisker, Islay whiskey, or the Glenlivet. As well as being a writer and educated in law, Stevenson was an engineer. Perhaps his legal mind that Talisker should be placed in a category of its own, or was his interest in engineering engaged by an island distillery with 3 stills? Well, the key here is the king of drinks was one of these 3, :
Right.
Talisker, Islay whiskey, or the Glenlivet. Interesting, eh?
Wow, what a
Quite a.
was that his blend? Maybe
Well, maybe.
maybe
Who
he's
knows?
like, if I can't afford the good stuff, I'm gonna go with the Glenlivet.
Well, yeah, but you don't even know what Glenlivet would have tasted like in 1880. It might have been completely different, or
That would
exactly
be,
the same.
Wouldn't that
You
be
don't-
fun to know?
Really, it would be. Well, and it's interesting to think that a guy.
I bet
like
it tastes
that-
better.
Which one?
The Glenlivet back
way
in
back then?
18, just because that was their start.
Well, and maybe they
Nah, it's
weren't
probably a bad
bottling
call
it
to say
at
that.
40%. Maybe it was, heathery and rich and delicious in the Speyside way. Speyside whiskey is top notch, right? I mean, it holds its own against any other Scottish whiskey.
Well,
I mean,
yes, on a whole, no.
well, not in our opinion in terms of our flavor, but if you look at,
There's lots of good ones there, but
Yeah.
there's lots of not so good ones too.
well, it's a whiskey rich, distillery rich region that cranks out a ton of whiskey that is just different.
Why
than
do you
island
think that
whiskey.
is then? Why do you think Speyside has so many distilleries?
Because of the river water.
But there's rivers all over the place.
True. I mean,
Are they pulling mostly from, what was it, Loch? What's the main river running down there? There's a lot of them that, no, they're
Well,
not. You can tell
Speyside.
by the map. Yeah, River Spey.
yeah, the Spey.
But there's another one.
Well, I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter. Anyhow, yeah, there are a heck of a lot of them over there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And there's some good ones there too, but maybe it's just the fact that there's so many that some of them have to be decent because they've been doing it for so long. It's not like
Yeah, well, I would
they
agree.
all have to get kudos just because they're distilleries. I mean, there are a lot of good scotches out there for sure, but I don't know if it matters. I mean, like if you're basing it on like if you could split them up into countries like Islay, even the islands, all on their own,
Well, if
still
we're
kind
gonna
of
get,
hold up.
eventually we'll get there where we you and I together in this room, drinking Talisker are going to agree with Robert Louis Stevenson and say that no doubt Talisker is part of the best. And when you
That's
look
true.
at it in what he's saying Islay whiskeys, which encompass pretty much everything we love, and Talisker, which is an extension of everything we love. And he goes off the chart a little bit and says Glenlivet. And obviously to him it meant something. And it's kind of cool to think about. Even back then, it was, what was that, 1880? That's a long time ago. And they were cranking out this stuff on this desolate little place. And he happened to come across it and recognize its quality. And here we are so many decades later, and we're doing the exact same thing.
Right, agreeing with him. But do you think he didn't have time to swing by Islay?
Well, he mentioned his second
Oh,
grouping
right.
was Islay whiskey.
Oh yeah, the whole on a whole.
Yeah, he's like Islay whiskeys, like
Ah,
kind
yeah,
of
that's
like
true.
all those
Well,
ones.
I
are
guess
rad.
what baffles me is like, why does he throw in the Glenlivet?
I don't know. I don't have an answer. It's like it must have just been like his little favorite, like just something he enjoyed going to. Maybe it was available,
Yeah.
Maybe even back then it was just widely distributed or something.
Or maybe there is something into it that is like just because it was like the mainland Scotch. It was just easier to get, and out of all those ones, if you're gonna drink them all, it's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was a good enough aspect to
Well,
that. It
and
doesn't
who knows?
sound like
I mean,
it.
We've
but
never had a Glenlivet 18 bottled at 47%. Who knows? Maybe if we drank that, it would blow us away, and we'd be like, "Oh my goodness!" Until we get there, it's hard to really imagine what's going on. All we've ever had is Glenlivet 12 bottled at 40%, and it tastes, just like everything else, which is
It tastes like how you'd expect.
yeah. And we haven't had it in some time, so.
Yeah, I guess
You
so.
know?
But I can pretty much, I would bet money that doesn't stack up to too many on here.
No, definitely not their base expression, but I would be really interested to know what their best of the best tastes like.
But it's a wide spectrum of palate he has then.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Tending toward the seaweed smoke and power and salty brininess of the ocean Isla whiskeys.
Yeah, clearly you like that, and you don't have that. You know, you can't have that in the livid.
No, I don't think you could.
I like that, though. That's good.
Mhm.
Again, I clearly lacked focus. You know, I just had the storm and the dark storm.
the dark?
Sorry, they're both storms, but I had the dark storm, and I quite liked it. It was a good little punch. So I don't know. Maybe it is a 4. We'll have to decide on that. Anyway, okay, we can keep going around in circles all day.
Yeah, no, I really like the Dark Storm.
Yeah,
really
it was
liked
good. It was good. It's great Scotch. Like I say, if we don't do comparison, we're really happy with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the notes I had here was that the Taliskers, on a whole, don't have any more than 20 ppms.
In terms of the pheromones, or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's not really peaty. It's not.
No, but the smoke I think must come from the casks, because, like you say, I don't think the peat content on Sky is like what it's like on Isla. You know, I don't think the earth is in the.
It's more rocky, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably just a little bit different in terms of, you know, what they can create in terms of that. Because I would believe that, like, you know, even smelling that Ardbeg bottle that I recycled today, I was like, open that up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it smells like it's smoking when you uncork it. You're like, you know, there's a small fire burning down in the corner of that bottle somewhere to create this.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it's really a really amazing thing.
It's such a great smell. I think I had that Octomore when I was in Winnipeg, and the glass smelled like it all the way. I got it home. I didn't, you know, the bartender let us keep it, and it stunk.
Right.
Like peat. It didn't stop really. I mean, I'm sure the level goes, but even that glass I had, which had the peat in it, or the barley in it,
right,
that had been on the Bowmore, that smelled for years too.
Right.
So it's such a distinctive smell, and it doesn't let go. So Talisker is the most visited Diageo distillery.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
And I think isn't there a bridge to get over there? Or you don't have to take a ferry. I think they have some sort of land bridge.
Interesting.
I could be totally wrong, but I think they have a land bridge.
Well,
and I'll edit this all out if I'm wrong.
Well, there's a really narrow bit there.
And I think that might be one of the reasons. Just
right.
because people like
accessible.
Talisker, they know it's good, and like, you know, I don't want to take a ferry, like a 2-hour ferry to get over Island and see nothing. Like, I think Sky is a little more developed. Like, it's got some cities in it.
Right.
I saw that. What was that movie called? There was some good parts in it. It wasn't great, but it had Steve Coogan in it, and it had Mindhorn. I think it was Mindhorn. It's on Netflix. If you have a chance to see it, it's not bad.
yeah.
I mean, there's some pretty classic
Coogan's
moments.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he's not even in it that much. It's this other guy, and he's this washed-up actor, and he does a pretty good job at making a fool of himself. Anyhow, so that's kind of interesting. And they say that the popularity rose due to its classic malt status.
Right. That it was placed alongside Lagavulin and Craggamore.
Yeah.
You know, and those whiskeys, and it stood out for what it was, right?
Yeah, kind of cool, because that makes sense to me, because if, you know, it's kind of like if, let's say, if Lachig was on that list too, we probably would have known about it a long time ago, right?
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, when it's placed within that group of whiskeys, it competes with the Lagavulin 16. Usually, I think of it in my mind as like a second place on that particular grouping, but not in a way where it can't compete on certain evenings. You know, it certainly has, you know, its own thing, you know. And I love the whole Sky thing because of my family connection. You know, that's important to me. Like the fact that my great-great-grandmother ended up leaving there and coming all the way to Canada with her family. And that's, you know, a really important connection for me. I think about like what I read today in the Michael Jackson thing, just its geography and the type of place it is, how unique and how proud they are, and how into their whiskey they are, and how the actual distillery is, the way it operates, the way its stills are set up and their shapes and the way they're doing their various stages in terms of creating the malt and creating the whiskey and creating the spirit. It doesn't all line up, right? And yet it creates this really interesting, unique thing. And what I mean by not lining up is that the shapes of the still and the way they do certain things, they say it should produce like a lighter bodied, easier drinking whiskey, just the way they have it set up. But it doesn't. It produces an intense, explosive thing. And I think that's really remarkable, and why I am connected to this is it happens on so many levels that I just love Talisker. Well, I believe our next whiskey is your last birthday present, Jonathan.
Oh, was it? I thought you let me switch it.
Oh,
you let me switch it for something.
Yeah, well, just they're
not
both
that
your,
I wanted
they're
to.
both your birthday
Okay,
presents. Don't
yes.
worry about it. I won't drink either of those unless
I'm
you're
excited
here.
for the. I'm excited for the up and coming.
I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
I've heard great reviews on the Lafroig Triplewood. A lot of people really enjoy it, and a lot of people have actually said they like it more than the 10. I know.
I find that hard to believe,
Hard
but
to
I
believe.
have been liking the wood a lot more lately.
Yeah. So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they pulled off a winner. I really hope so.
I hope so too. Why not?
Anytime you uncork that, white cylinder with that writing on it, it's going to be fun.
Right. Yeah. At least they didn't call it the Lafroig Dark Storm.
Yes.
So that was.
They did not.
That would be a lot of pressure.
They
So if
did
it's just
not.
somebody's opinion, it'll probably be all right.
Right.
So okay, well that was a great night. It's fun. It's always fun to do a Talisker.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
Thanks
looking forward to the
uh,
next one.
Thanks to all the people that listen.
Yeah. Thank
And please
you.
provide your feedback, and if you have any questions or anything, suggestions or
Suggestions would be
whiskeys
good.
that you'd like to see us try in the future, we're always open to your feedback. So please, we really do appreciate it. If you have something to say, reach out.
Yeah. By all means.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, hey, cheers.
And to you, sir. Wee Dram.
We drank.
Sometimes I lay in my bed and I listen to the storm rage across the cove. And as I lay up in my cottage bed and the storm smashes into the beaches below, I feel an energy that rushes up from the beaches and enters into my mind and lifts my spirit. And in those moments, I just want to reach out and pour just a dram, just one simple small dram of the Talisker Dark Storm.